what's going on, guys? So today we're talking about the best-selling cards under $5 or less, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Penny Stock Market Watch. Back to our regular scheduled programming for timing on this. There has been movement, but there haven't been many changes. Droll and Lockbird, I think was one last week, is on number 2. Time tiering Morganite is now number 1. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it is getting a bit cheaper. I don't think this card's a great buy right now, but I think it's a really interesting card that has a lot of potential. If you watched the video last week, I kind of went a little bit more in depth with that card. Solemn Judgment is interesting. If you guys have noticed in a lot of my recent deck profiles, I'll have Solemn Judgment in there because as just a very generic form of disruption, Solemn Judgment does an excellent job, and with 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19 versions available on TCG Player and in the Yu-Gi-Oh market. What is going on with this? This just got bought out. I don't know why it's listed as. I know it's throwing everything off, but there's actually 1, 2, 3, 3 versions of Solemn Judgment that are under $5. We'll even go as far as say this one's the number 4. So you have Lost Sanctuary structure deck. I believe. Let me double check which one this is, because I think Counter Fairies has 2, right? This is the older one too, actually, I believe. Because this is more Valhalla. Didn't this get support too? I don't remember. Yeah, okay, so this is the older one. I had to remember. I'm pretty sure there was another structure deck. There was definitely a second wave of support for the Counter Fairy archetype, but I'm pretty sure it was in a structure deck. It all starts to blur together after a while. This is the common, though. I don't want to dive too deep into this. In the maximum gold version, we will take a look at as well. But then also, too, the Maze of Memories version, the one that brought us here. Because when we look at Solemn Judgment, what I like about it, the reason why I always use it in my Yu-Gi-Oh decks is, like, let's say I run like a huge combo piece engine that's going to get through 3 or 4 forms of disruption, play through the 2 different hand traps that my opponent has, and still end on a decent board. My opponent could just drop a Lightning Storm, Dark Ruler no more, or what have you, and just win the duel off of that. But they're not going to be able to do that if I have Solemn Judgment, which is why I really like Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment's mostly for the Dark Ruler no more, the Forbidden Droplets, the Dark Hole, Regeki, Lightning Storms. We haven't seen too much of those because Super Heavy Samurai doesn't run them. Pearly, it doesn't really do a whole lot to their boss monster. It's pretty good, though, against Kashtira. And Solemn Judgment's pretty good in Kashtira because even if your opponent doesn't do any of those things, this negates inherent summons, this negates spells and traps, and it's always live. So, of the 3 penny stock versions, which one do I think is the best? I'm a little biased. I always admit it. Whenever I see a gold rare, I love the look of gold rare. I don't know why. I don't know why gold rare versions are so cheap. Maybe the cheapness is another thing that attracts me to it. I also like Ultimate and Ghost Rare, right? Those aren't very cheap as well. I just like, obviously it's not real gold, but I like the look of the gold rares, right? Now the Secret Slayer is super rare. I believe that's the one I have. I don't even remember which one I have. It took a huge nosedive back in March. I'm not sure what that's about. But it's still doing okay at about $3, $3.80, $3.90. Like, it's still doing all right. And then the Maze of Memory versions that just came out also is super rare. I think that This, because it's the newest version, is the one I would stray away from. Because with only 3 of the, 19 copies of Solemn Judgment under $5, it's a fairly safe assumption with Maze of Memories being relatively newer of a set. Literally hasn't even been out for 3 months. Judgment's not getting another reprint anytime soon. I could see all versions of Judgment, because even if we come down here, Castira in the national qualifier in Ireland was running this over the weekend, or I guess the 10th, 5 days ago. It was like a Thursday, I think. Oh, it was May 7th, but the article came out, so it was a week ago. But yeah, like, I guess it's in the side deck. 2 copies of Solemn Judgment. And that's the beautiful thing about Solemn Judgment too. If you know Solemn Judgment's going to, or if you know, if you don't like Solemn Judgment in the main, it's really good still in the side when you know you're going first. So I think those 3 copies are really good buys. Secret Slayers, Mago, and Maze of Memories. I think that this version is the best version of all of the Solemn Judgments under $5 or less. But there is also a reason, as I always say, that this is number 9. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I always assume that because people read left to right, top to bottom. So that would make it number 8. But I still like the gold version a little bit better. Firewall Guardians moving up. Evenly Match is doing its thing. Deck Lockdown. I think I saw this. I forget what deck. I know I saw it. I was watching an MCO 40 video. It could have been Salamangreat. This card has been. This card has kind of been like this, right? Whenever this card's popular, this card's popular. It's got an Astral Pack. Astral Pack is similar to Dual Terminal or OTS packs, where usually an Astral Pack version is going to be more expensive. The Ultra Rare from Dual Overload does appear to be the winner. This reminds me of like Foolish Return. When Foolish Return was dropped during like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now. I don't know. It's all a blur. But when DPE was really popular, right? The Adventure, it's essentially DPE Turbo was the format. Foolish Return was starting to become really popular because Eldritch was still wandering around. It's still pretty good against Eldritch. Foolish Return is actually still okay against a lot of things. Like I believe Super Heavy Samurai, the Link Monster, brings back Soul Piercer from the graveyard, so you could use it there. But people were using it against DPE. Foolish Return got super popular, and then all of a sudden, it kind of went back away into the abyss. Right now, this deck, yes, it was a Salamangreat deck. Like the deck Lockdown's obviously a side deck thing, similar to Solemn Judgment. I'm assuming you guys know what it does. It is like a similar Joel and Lockbird thing. It's interesting that it was ran in Salamangreat, because Salamangreat runs 3 Silent Mining, 3 Salamangreat Circle, Bay Links technically, some run Lady Debug. That version was not running Lady Debug. We can just pull this version up. This one has actually a very unique version of it too, because it was running like 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 2 Fenrir, 3 Ogre, 2 Nibiru, Gamma Seal as well. I would have gone, and I didn't top. Yeah, I didn't. That's a top too. So I didn't top at New York in Catskills. You should take with what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. But I would have run Doggeran because Doggeran's a fire. So in a weird game state where you give your opponent Doggeran and you're able to summon out Doggeran, the dinosaur fire one. I think its name is Doggeran. You can use it to make like a wolf, right? Or a Heatleo. Probably won't come up super duper often. But, if we're just running Gamma Seal because of its attack. And I thought Santa Claus was more popular too, but no one's running Santa Claus because it's not the OCG, like I always say. But anyway, when we look at this, I don't even think it says except by drawing either, right? Because it just says Neither players can. It does say except by drawing. Okay, so never mind. So Desires is still alive and Buffalo's still alive, and that's probably why we're seeing the Flame Buffalo instead of Lady Debug. But still, with 2 Signet Mining, 3 Salmon Great Circle, and Balinks that searches the Sanctuary. Obviously, the idea is we Signet Mining Sanctuary, or we Signet Mining Balinks Circle during our first turn. We drop the deck Lockdown, and now our Super Heavy Samurai opponent or Pearly opponent can't play, or a lot of opponents. This is a fantastic card. I don't think it's really going to gain any steam, any traction. I don't think it's a good buy. But if there is one, we can just take a look at it real quick. It's like $1.40, goes to $2 really quick. $3 really quick. There are only 4 pages of listings. Yeah, there's only 4 pages of listings. So with only 4 pages of listings and this still being a penny stock, a buyout is possible. There's 47 listings at $10. Let's see if anybody else has more. This one's got 89 at $365. 47 at $459. I don't think there's gonna be a buyout. I don't think this card's that good. 286 at 29. But it is really good in this format. And like I said, whenever this card's good, deck Lockdown's not too far behind. This changed. Did this change? This moved. These two swapped. I don't know how often it updates, but it does update mid-video sometimes. We've talked about Branded and Signet Mining. I've talked about Ogre. I haven't actually talked about Ogre, I don't think, too much. Yeah, we could talk about Ogre. I wasn't going to, but I changed my mind. So, when it comes to Ghost Ogre and Snow, I think Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit's one of the most underrated hand traps of all time. Like, when we look at, like, we just go to the hand traps on the page, right? So, Droll and Lockbird is really good against some decks, really bad against others. Same with Nibiru. Ash is really good against all decks, but never, like, usually never turn ending. Like, if your hand, in 2023, if your hand loses to Ash, and this is including Branded, by the way, you're just not a good deck. Like, I think good Branded players know how to play through Ash Blossom. Like, people act like, oh, if you just drop Ash, Branded loses. That's not true, right? Ghost Ogre, for me, feels like it has a lot of great targets. And this one, specifically, I believe this is the one that goes into the scale, right? If you have no, you can place one pendulum. But, yeah. So, this one, I think it searches the Benki. Both are great Ghost Ogre targets. You know where I'm going to go. If you know, you know. Like, if you've been following this channel along for at least a year, maybe a little bit more, you should know what version I'm about to say is my favorite version. Because once again, there are no alternate arts of Ghost Ogre except for the Dual Devastator version. And I'm a huge fan of alternate arts. This isn't like Solemn Judgment where all the versions are above $5. I mean, you literally have the Infinite Gold version, which I really like the Infinite Gold version, the way it looks. As I've mentioned before, it's like $2. Everything's like $1. I think all of these, except for maybe this one because it just came out and it is a common, are great buys. I think the tin one, the Prismatic Secret Rare, is the one that brought us here because that one does look really, really cool as well. I forget which one I have. Because I know I have the 3 Ghost Ogre. I know I have at least the common. I don't know. I think I have other ones as well, though. And hey, the Prismatic Secret Rare does look really cool. I like the alternate art, but I think all versions of Ghost Ogres are great buys right now. Not just because it's really good in this format, but also because it's going to be really good in another format. I mean, so will Droll and Nibiru, obviously, but I really like Ghost Ogre because it feels more universal. There feels like more games where I play Ghost Ogre, and it's high impact. There's always something. There's always something. There's always something. I don't know, man. It's like it once every like 2, 3, or 4 episodes of the Penny Stock Marker Watch, I will not have a card that makes me go, what? But this is Sage de Fleur. I usually scroll down here first to see if it's ran in anything. It is being ran in Super Heavy Samurai. Is this the same person? Is it not the same person? Was this like a 3v3 in Seattle? Alright, well, let me read this card first before we go all wild on it. Because this, yeah, the regional is what made this go up. You can target one monster, you control one card on the field, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, destroy them. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, target other one monster you control, shuffle it into the graveyard, then add a plant. So 2900 attack, spot removal. It's got to be the plant, right? It's got to be the plant. Is she a plant? Okay. It was in the side deck. Okay. Is it a tuner? Sometimes these cards are randomly tuners. Maybe I have to watch the video on this. Like I actually just genuinely don't know. Oh, we have found our winner. So this card is where we're going. We gotta see if we can get to it. So Predaplant Spider Orchid, which says, during your main phase, if this card is activated this turn, you can target one other faceless card in the spell and trap zone, destroy it. During the end phase, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can discard this card at a level 4 lower plant. So is it the pendulum effect in the mirror? And that's how we're running it? Is that what this is about? Feels like that's what this is about. Feels like the mirror is why this card is popular. I could be wrong. I guess we can look at the other list as well, because we just did Logan Johnson's list. It's the exact same ratio. Oh no, this person's running 3 of them. The reason why I don't like it is because if you can't tell by my body language, I don't like this card. It's very circumstantial. There's a deck where this doesn't work at all, right? Pearly, the Pearly boss monster is unaffected by this. Targeting your own card to destroy your opponent's card is just not really that great. The plant monster that it's searching doesn't really seem to be very good. Like, I think it is for the mirror. Let me double check it one more time. And the thing is, too, where was that card? Because you would think that if this card is being played because it searches this card, you would think this card, okay, there we go, answers my question. It did also go up in value. It's just not a penny stock. I figured this was a penny stock. I mean, yeah, just free spot removal once per turn is pretty solid. A level 8 pendulum scale is pretty solid. The fact that it's searchable off this card is pretty solid. It's a fun little niche interaction. This is clearly the peak, though. Please don't FOMO this. If you need it if you want to play test it, like, oh, that's such a good idea. You know, that's by all means, don't let me stop you. There are other versions of this card, though. Oh, it just came out. Oh. I didn't realize it was in this structure deck. Oh my goodness. So I just have 3 copies of this card, just wandering around somewhere amongst the common bulks. But this one really hasn't fluctuated at all. It's really the Orchid. But it's not a penny stock, so we won't be talking about it here. But we will be talking about it on a Friday. So make sure you guys subscribe. Do all that fun stuff there. Right? But we're not done. If you thought I was done, I'm not done. Just wanted to take a look at this too. If you want to be my lover. Okay, so during the end phase, you can send this card from your hand or field to graveyard. Excavate equal to the number of unused spell or trap zones you could set. Oh! Also for Super Heavy Samurai. Is that what this is? It feels like that's what this is. Feels like that's what this is. It's not used in any decks at all. But I think the reason people are running this, first off, it is an insect card. So maybe they're running it in the insect deck. Because the insect deck did just get some support in Cyberstorm Access, other than this card. But I think it's that Super Heavy Samurai matchup where if we can get this card out, especially because if we don't have to worry about using our normal summon, like Trap Tricks can kind of work around its normal summons to bring this card out to normal summon. If there are other ways we can bring this card out that I'm just not thinking of at the top of my head right now, we can send this card, excavate a bunch, get the exact card we want, call Pendulum or what have you, and do those things there against Super Heavy Samurai. I mean, a lot of decks aren't really running set spells and traps, so this could be live very often. It's not really that great of a card, but no, there's no buts. It's not a good card. But let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. What are the best selling cards under $5 or less? Make sure you guys let me know down there. Make sure you guys click that like button, show your support for the channel, subscribe for even more content, but most importantly of all, have a good day.